welcome you in. This is No Gamble, No Future. He is Brent Hanks. I am Jeff Platt and Brent. We are indeed 2 days removed from your beloved Buffalo Bills losing to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. You doing all right over there? You doing all right?
Good night, Irene.
Well, yeah. It's just been a lot of that over the last 2 days.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, it never stops after a loss like that. And I'm hanging in there. Jeff, I think that open was pretty perfect for how I feel right about now.
And you were doing well during the game also. I thought you handled your emotions really well. I was fortunate enough to receive an invite to Hanks Manor for the Bills-Chiefs AFC Championship game. Let's take a look at that roller coaster ride that Brent Hanks went through. The Bills make me wanna let's go! How are you feeling?
Not great. I feel I'm very nervous, but I'm excited. We're gonna win. Please God.
There it is. All right. There it is. 9-7.
I'm calling where it's halftime. I want you guys to know that I think that the Bills are still gonna win.
Well, just need a few more field goals.
Stop kicking fucking field goals.
Sports?
Stop kicking field goals. Sports.
You can't beat.
All right.
Fuck.
Cheers. Here we go.
Yeah, rally time, fourth quarter. Stop kicking. Can't do that shit anymore. And let's get lucky.
Your wife Liz came to comfort you.
Yeah. Well, you know, hey. Go Bonnies.
Oh, what a day.
I still don't get the field goals.
The field goals.
I mean, for the Packers game, to the Bills. Anyway, Jeff, take us through the rundown. Jesus.
I was going to ask if we could curse on this show, but I guess I don't need to ask anymore. I think you took care of that. All right, Brent. So, Bob Menery is sick. He's out.
Yeah. Zapped. On a bender.
He is zapped.
He's on a bender. He gave us ample notice time, about an hour before we were going to go live. That's just very reasonable.
I think we are indeed very fortunate because we do have, from the Big Man on Basketball podcast, from Barstool Sports, Jeff Nadu will be joining us. And you love this because you love college hoops. I
love college hoops. I love Jeff Nadu. I'm a huge fan. I've been listening to his podcast and very excited. I'm thrilled he came on with us last second. I'm pumped.
We'll have him on in about 10 minutes or so. All right, folks, make sure to like, to subscribe.
Please.
All that. You just have to click the thumbs up, right?
Yes,
is that right?
the thumbs
That's all you have to do?
Right now. Give us a little thumb love and subscribe. You'll know every time we're going to go live. It helps us, support us. We want to do this over and over again, so please go ahead and do that. It means everything, Jeff.
Yeah. And if you're watching on YouTube or watching on Facebook or watching on Twitch, chime in the chat with your picks. If you have a play tonight that you like, fire it off. If you have a futures play, fire it off in the chat. We'll go over some of those a little bit later on the show, as you see on our beautiful rundown graphic. All right, Brent, I have stalled enough. It is time to recap the cards.
Okay.
Decent week for you, I would say.
Well, 4-3. I started off 4-0 and then just got absolutely whooped on my final three picks. I mean, obviously my beloved Bills, loser. Packers loser. That to me was like, how in the parlay, are we going to count that? I mean,
yes, we're going to count it. It's a unit loss
on a parlay. I shouldn't count. My overall record should be 4-2. Parlay should barely count.
Well, we're going to go by units. You were 4-3 on your 7 plays, and you won a little bit less than a unit, plus 0.8 units. Do we have to take a look at my card? Can we just move on?
You had a hell of a week.
Well,
you had a hell of a start.
That Florida
look at that.
pick.
1-7.
That Florida pick, I nailed that. I mean, Florida just crushed. Florida won outright. They beat Tennessee. LSU only lost by 20 or 25 or so.
That was a good pick.
The Pellies cut the Jazz lead to about 15 in the fourth.
Right.
So that was good.
Right. You're very sharp with UFC.
Yeah. Let's
sharp.
see. Neil Magny didn't get it done. Dan Hooker, no, he got crushed by Chandler.
Chandler's
TKO,
my new favorite fighter.
Chandler's a badass.
I love that guy.
And you love UFC, too.
It's my new favorite sport other than the other sports.
Okay, gotcha. And Brent, if you would have fired the opposite sides of all the legs of my parlay, you'd be rich.
That's a winner.
We had Hebus,
That's a winner.
we had Hooker, we had McGregor, loss, loss. The Bills, loss. The Packers, loss. Other than that, though, I think I did pretty well.
Yeah, very solid week. It's impressive, really. I know
you.
a lot of folks are coming
It's
in
hard
to
to go
watch the
1-7.
And they're going to take away a lot of insight from you. There's no doubt. I mean, the good news is you can't do any worse.
Right.
You're not going to go 0 for 8.
Well,
Well, yeah.
The rest of the good news is you're going to see my card a little bit later on in the show, and you just click on the other side. You can just fade.
Just fade Jeff.
That might be...
Fade Jeff's card. Everything he bets, go the other way. Opposite direction.
That might be the dream strategy. All right,
Yeah.
Brent, the weigh-in. The weigh-in is upon us.
Yeah.
It was a big weekend for you at Hanks Manor.
Well, when you say a big weekend, yeah, I got bigger. Came in on the scale this morning, stone naked, by the way. I want to make sure you're
great.
doing
Yeah,
that. 'Cause if you're not,
every week you
have
emphasize
to be.
that
If you're
part
wearing
of
your
it.
boxers or whatever you do, the tidy whites, you're a big whiteies guy, 226.7. So
Okay.
I
you're
went ahead
up-
and went up,
You're up 3.3 pounds from last week.
which is all muscle.
It's all
because
muscle,
I've
yeah,
been
you-
lifting
You were working out
in
a
the
lot.
office
Yep.
while I'm watching things and
Yep.
sitting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very
I, by the way, am 152.2.
152.2.
Continue
So
to cut weight.
You're basically turning into a little 5-year-old as far as weight is
Well,
concerned.
we're going to lose weight and then we're going to gain some muscle, just like yourself. I'm going to follow the Hanks fitness plan. All right. In about 5 minutes, Jeff Nadu will join us. But first, let us recap those conference championships from, of course, a betting perspective. Tampa Bay 31, Green Bay 26. If you had the Buccaneers plus the 3, you got it. If you had the Buccaneers plus 155, you got it. If you had the over 53, you got it. Brent, Packers down 8. 2:05 left. 4th and goal from the 8. And they kicked the field goal?
It's one of the dumbest things I've ever
And
seen
they
in
kicked the
sports.
field goal?
One of the dumbest things Everybody, you watch Twitter just blow up during the game.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I mean, I get you want to win the game. You don't want to go for the tie, but you don't even give your MVP quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, a chance to tie the game, maybe take it to overtime. Maybe you still have 3 timeouts.
Yeah.
Maybe you get a stop even after you score. I don't really get it at all. It doesn't make any sense. I've yet to read anything from the analytical animals out there, the sharps that can explain it. Makes no sense whatsoever. If I'm a Packers fan, I am livid right now.
Just furious.
Livid. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, he's certainly going to get a new contract. Hell, maybe he wants out. Who knows? I mean, it was a disgrace.
I did see Rodgers told Pat McAfee today that when it was 1st and goal, he said, this is 4 down territory.
Of course it is.
Which it makes sense. It makes sense.
Of course it is. Everyone that watched the game, unless you're an absolute moron, you know you're going for it. How the head coach, LaFleur, goes for a field goal? What?
Yeah, that doesn't.
I'm over it.
Tom Brady, that touchdown pass to Scotty Miller to end the second quarter. How does that happen if you're the Green Bay defense? But if you had the first half over and you get there with that, that's a pretty way to do it.
He's a magician.
Yeah.
He's just a wizard out there. I've seen it for 2.5 decades playing against Buffalo. Not at all surprised.
All right, and I hate to do it to you, but we got to put up this Chiefs-Bills graphic because if you had the Chiefs -3, we did not. Brent did not. Then you won. If you had the Chiefs money line, you won. If you had the over, you were in good shape. Brent, it was a 9-0 start for your Buffalo Bills. Kansas City scored 21 points in the second quarter, and it just didn't really feel close the rest of the way.
We did not play a great game.
Yeah.
Our offense stunk. Our defense could not stop Tyreek Hill, could not stop Travis Kelce. Total difference from what we saw in Week 6, where Tyreek Hill only had 20 receiving yards. And it almost felt like at halftime we were fortunate to barely be down, that we were somehow in it despite our offense having nothing going. Good news, Bills are coming back.
Okay.
We're a great team.
Yeah.
We've got an awesome leader in Josh
Yep.
Allen. I still like McDermott, even though he kicked way too many stupid field goals that still don't make sense to me either. I'm excited for when's football start again?
Yeah, maybe we'll get into the Bills offseason recap next week or the week after that.
8
We'll
months?
get to it.
It's 8 months away?
Yeah, about 8 months.
Well, thank God we've got college hoops.
Well, thank God you got a pretty big football game also in a couple weeks, and that would be the Super Bowl.
Not
the
watching.
Chiefs versus the Buccaneers. You'll be watching.
Not
Be watching for sure. Patrick Mahomes versus Tom Brady. How many times are you going to hear that? Chiefs open as a 3-point favorite. Chiefs -170. The over/under is 56. And Brent, let's do this next week. We'll have the big blowout show. we'll be talking about the game.
Yeah.
We'll be talking props.
Yeah.
We'll be talking national anthem time.
You don't want
all
to
the good
talk
stuff.
anything about the Super Bowl right now?
No, I just
Nothing?
want
you
to
want to watch
going.
the Super Bowl together whenever that comes around?
I mean,
or you want to
I guess, yeah, you are actually a good cook.
There we go. You like the
it's
chicken
some-
wings?
Yeah,
don't
the
you?
chicken
Good
wings.
wings?
Chicken wings were kind of good. The ribs
Yeah?
were kind of good. Yeah.
I like that.
All right, let us get to our special guest. You know him from Barstool Sports. He hosts the Big Man on Basketball podcast. It is Jeff Nadu. Jeff, welcome in to No Gamble, No Future. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, guys. Good to talk to you.
Great,
Nice to be on.
Great to talk to you as well. And we're catching you at a good time, right? You're 14-6 over your last 20.
Yeah, in the NBA, I had a terrible start to the season, 0-4, but yeah, I've been killing it since then. Really starting to see it in college basketball as well. So, this is where I shine. I'm someone that is very dialed in. I try to always be on point. You go through peaks and valleys, but you don't try to go through the valley too long. Yeah, it's been good. NBA's always been something that I trust, just with how I handicap it. And college, I put a lot of time into it with personnel and schematics and that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's starting to work good.
Yeah, I saw you had the Nuggets against my Mavs last night, and that, sir, was a winning play. So, Jeff, as far as college hoops is concerned, what stood out to you the most? What would you say is the top storyline this year in the college hoops world?
I would just say that the Blue Bloods are really struggling. I mean, whether it's Carolina or Duke or Kentucky or Kansas, all of them are struggling. Duke and Carolina have been really poor, particularly Duke. I think we have to just realize at this point, this is a bad basketball team. We don't have to respect them this year. We don't have to worry about Coach K. They have no leader. They're just a team that's going through the motions. They don't seem like they really want to play. And when you set the expectation early in the season that, we're not going to play non-conference games, we're going to skip this, we're skipping that, I just felt like Coach K put a weird precedent out there. He's getting in fights with student reporters now. It's a mess. So, yeah, I think Kansas and Kentucky I'm a little bit more interested in long term, but Blue Bloods have struggled. This is going to be the year of, no Blue Blood is going to win this tournament. It's if this is the year where Gonzaga and Baylor can't win, then I don't know what to say. But yeah, someone out of the scheme of thinking is going to win, and it could be anybody this year.
Yeah, spot on. I mean, that's phenomenal the way that you put that into perspective. And for a guy like myself, I'm a big majors guy. I love my Bonnies. Let me ask you about this, Jeff. Let's talk sleepers. March Madness going to be here right around the corner. Any futures odds out there? Any teams you're keeping an eye on that have caught your attention at thus far in the season?
Well, look, I love every team in America. I could tell you about every single one till 357. But, I'll be honest, guys. You mentioned the Bonnies. I think the A-10 is very ripe this year for a team. We thought it last year would be Dayton. They obviously sadly couldn't get to try it. But, you look at a team like St. Louis, like Richmond, like St. Bonaventure. I like Richmond, though, and they're a team that – I talked to their coach earlier in the season on my pod, and we kind of zeroed in on the fact that just there's a lot of unfinished business with them. They're the 5th oldest team in America. There's a ton of consistency, a ton of cohesion there. They're very crisp on the offensive end. They're a fun team to watch, 2 great guards. They have struggled a little bit defensively, but I think when the rubber meets the road at the end of the season, especially this season, I want a coherent, cohesive, experienced basketball team. Generally, those type of teams take and make runs. And I talked to Mooney about, is this his most talented team? And I think he, in a roundabout way, said it was. There's a lot to like about this team, but even your Bonnies, I've always been high on Mark Schmidt's teams. I think Osuni is one of the best bigs in the country. Nobody talks about. There's no one more important to their team than Osun Osuni. He's actually a South Jersey kid. I actually remember him in high school here in the Atlantic City area. Kyle Lofton's one of the most underappreciated guards, and this kid Jaron Holmes has been terrific. So, I think the A-10 is really ripe for a mid-major. I also like Loyola, a team that we saw a couple of years ago with Sister Jean and that cohort. You talk about a team that is really good. They're really balanced. They play great defense. They've been there before. The kid Cameron Krutwig that's there now was actually on that team that went to the Final Four. So this is a team that's also experienced. And I think teams like that are going to be very much teams you want to back late in the season.
I'm going back to this, Jeff. I'm going back to the Bonnies. All right, 8-1 overall, 6-1 in the conference, on top of the Atlantic 10. They're alone there. Their only loss came without a guy Jeff mentioned, Jaron Holmes. He's an all-around player, both ends of the floor, offense and defense. He's sort of the core, the piece. Jeff, should the Bonnies be ranked? Be honest with me. Should we be ranked right now?
Yeah, I think they should. Yeah, I think, there's no like top 50 win or anything, but, VCU's a good basketball team. Richmond's a good basketball team. And I watched the Rhode Island game. I actually had Bonaventure in that game. That was coming off an 11-day break. You watched the game. I'm sure you remember. St. Bonaventure was just in that game where, and we've all seen it if we bet basketball, where you can't get anything to go your way. No ball bounces to you. Every rebound goes to them. Osuni had 4 fouls with 12 minutes to go. It's very hard to play as a basketball team when a kid like that is gun shy. He doesn't want to defend. He can't be himself. And as I said, Osuna-Shuni in a zone is incredibly important. He basically walls the paint off, and no guard wants to come in, because if they're going to get their shot swatted. And that's what really – and he's so good in the pick and roll, being the roll guy. So, that game is just an outlier. Yes, I do think they should be ranked. Schmidt has a very good team, a lot of good depth as well, which I'm not sure that they've had. I like Welch. I like Attaway. I like Shaw, the JUCO player. So, yeah, I'm very high on them. I think they should be ranked for sure.
My favorite guest of all time.
Yeah, Brent loved it. Brent can just stop the show now. So, Jeff, I see Richmond at around 50-1. I see St. Louis at around 66-1. Do you think there's any value in some of these plays?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I have Richmond at 80-1, which obviously is a better price, but I think all these teams are going to win multiple games in the tournament. I think they're all very right. I think the best value currently is Loyola Chicago. I'm sure you can get much higher than the prices you just quoted. But teams like that, and really looking off the beaten path, as I said, even in like a top 25, P5 type of sense, looking at your Texas Tech, your West Virginia, Tennessee, UConn, teams like that, you want to find teams that have good guard play. That's important. Teams that play some modicum of defense. And one thing that I'm big on in the tournament is, do you do something that is difficult to prepare for or tough to prepare for off of the game the night before? So, a team that maybe runs in a light year speed or a tough zone to prepare for. There's a lot of things that can throw teams off, and you only need to beat a good team one time. You don't need to beat in multiple games like an NBA. So, yeah, I'm looking off the beat path and then finding teams that are just particularly really good at something. So, a team that I really like long term, Colorado. People will zone in on the fact that they just lost to Washington recently, but at the end of the year, that's not going to mean anything. This team's going to make the NCAA tournament. They do a lot of things well, guys. And when you back teams in college basketball, you cannot consistently bet on bad teams that do a lot of poor basketball things. So do they turn the ball over? Do they make free throws? Do they make threes? Can they hang in games because they have a good half-court offense? Stuff like that. And Colorado checks all those boxes. So in a Pac-12 that's very down this year, I'm looking at teams like that as well.
Is it Gonzaga and then everyone else? Is it Gonzaga and Baylor and then everyone else? How do you see the top tier of college basketball right now?
Yeah, I think it's Gonzaga. Baylor's somewhat below, and then everyone else. I think Baylor's very good. I will keep saying this, and I might be the only one on the soapbox saying this, but I will just say this. If you can find a really legit top 5 win on Baylor's schedule that we have to go to the presses about, I'd like to hear it.
Ooh.
Because there isn't one, and that's just really about their schedule. But they've taken care of business. They've beaten every team that's been in front of them. They've been down in games, and they've come back and won, like Kansas, like Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. And look, the Big 12 has not been as good as I thought. Kansas has not been anywhere near what I thought they'd be. Texas Tech has struggled a little bit with consistency. Baylor's going to lose soon. I think it could be Auburn coming up with the SEC Big 12 Challenge, but I think Gonzaga is so superior to everyone else. I mean, Gonzaga absolutely lit up Virginia, who is a top 10 team. They lit up Kansas, scored 102, beat a really good West Virginia team. beat up Auburn. So Gonzaga is way better than everyone else, in my opinion.
Jeff, I'm pretty big on the Big Ten. No pun intended there.
Yeah, well played.
And I'm looking at Michigan. They're 11-1 right now, futures odds. They're inside and out. Hunter Dickinson, 7-footer underneath. He gets it done on defense. And, of course, Isaiah Livers. That guy is special. To me, he seems like he could be maybe the best player in the country at times. And that team seems built for the NCAA tournament to make a run. And, other programs, Purdue, just sneaky good. Ohio State, Wisconsin, Iowa, obviously Garza, one of those players. Anyone out of the Big Ten matched up with Gonzaga that you think might be able to sort of David and Goliath this thing?
I don't think. I think the blueprint to beat Gonzaga would probably be the one that Iowa said. And look, I've knocked McCaffrey. I think he's a lunatic. I think he's cost his team games over the years. And defensively, they're never any good. But if you look at the actual blueprint, if they make free throws in that game, they may win. I mean, they actually played really well in the second half. You have to kind of run with Gonzaga, I feel like. And I know that sounds crazy, but the blueprint to beating Gonzaga, guys, is not difficult. I mean, their offense is actually quite rudimentary with they really just try to rebound the ball, and then their bigs beeline to the basket, and they just throw it over the top and really just beat you going back. And then they have great three-point shooting. But a long team that has a big down low that can bother them, I think an Iowa could beat them second time around. But, you mentioned Michigan. It just seems like Michigan is never going to get bad things to go their way. They always seem like they luck out, where they have a team that will have a plane that runs off the runway, and then they make a run to the Final Four, which is what they did that one year. And then, they get a new coach, and we don't know if Jawani, there's rumors he might leave. And this is supposed to be a down year, and they're, a top 3-4 team in the country with the number one recruiting class coming in next year. They are in a shutdown right now. And I talked about on my show about this. I don't care how political you are. At the end of the day, this shutdown makes no sense. No one on this team has coronavirus. I think it could hurt them. I'm hoping they just come out of it and have no issues, but it definitely came at a bad time for them. They're great defensively. They're great offensively. They have a player that's very close to being Luka Garza-like. The guard play's been great. Michigan's a team that surely could dethrone Gonzaga or Baylor. I'm just wondering, is a team that has pace the only team that can do it? I'm not sure Michigan has that.
Jeff, I'm curious, since we're really just about month and a half away, how do you approach conference tournaments week from a handicapping perspective?
Well, I personally mostly just I actually love low mid-major basketball. So, the SWAC, the MEAC, stuff like that. I really want to kind of concentrate where others aren't. And I'm not trying to be arrogant, but I spend a lot of time on that stuff. I know a lot about those programs and how they react. I know what teams are good and what teams aren't. And I kind of just know what to look for. So, when those conference things come around, I actually do a lot of things with every conference will put out a tournament futures right before they start. I'm really big on those. I think you can make really good money on those if you know what to look for. And just teams that schematically don't match up. And there's a lot of things that people don't realize about certain teams. So I kind of worry about that stuff. I'm not big on necessarily – because if you look at big conference basketball, so the Power 5, even some of the G5s, Power 5 conference tournaments mean – very little to the top teams. I mean, obviously every team wants to win them, but they are kind of, I guess you can kind of understand where I'm going. They don't have a lot of purpose really. I mean, if you're surely in the field, I guess they could be seeding and stuff, but I more or less want to concentrate on if you win this conference, no matter who you are, you can get into the NCAA tournament and you get a different level of competition. So for me, I'm more or less, when the conference tournaments come around, focus on, the WAC, the SWAC, the Big South, the NEC conference, that kind of stuff.
Big game today, Jeff. Drake, Missouri State. Could Missouri State be the team to give Drake their first loss?
Yes, and I think they will. It's funny because you find these teams every year that the public better starts to find out about. And as I said, I don't want to be anywhere near those teams. If I don't get them from the beginning and ride it the whole season, a couple of years ago, there were a couple teams like UC Davis was a monster a few years ago, IPFW. And this is kind of what Drake is now, where they cover every game. But, if they're going to lose, I think it's tonight. This is actually a really tough matchup. For anyone that's not aware, Missouri State's actually a top 10 ATS team as well. They are very good. I think they're 8-1 against the number this year, guys. So, when you look at Missouri State, Dana Ford, a terrific coach. He did really good things at Tennessee State down in the OVC. He kind of moved on to a better job here in Springfield with Missouri State. They're really well coached. They actually have the second best two-point offense in America. They take a lot of really good shots. They're tough to beat in the half court. They do a great job at shutting possessions down immediately and not allowing offensive rebounds. They get to the line. They do a lot of good high basketball IQ things. And they're at home here with a team off a shutdown. I know being at home doesn't matter, but in these kind of conferences, being at home matters. You still have to get on a plane or bus and travel. You set off kids that are normally – let's say 19 or 20, they have routines. A road game is a road game. It's not in their stadium. It's not in their town. They've got to sleep in a different bed. It's a tough thing to prepare for, especially off a shutdown. I think tonight Missouri State gets
I'm
the job.
totally with you, man. Totally with you. Isaiah Mosley, 25 a game. Keep an eye on that kid. He's a stud. Jeff, one more from me.
Gage Prim as well.
Who's that?
That's a great call by you. Gage Prim is very good also. I think he's a guy that's going to be a big matchup problem for them.
I'm watching that game. I got one more for you. Listen, I know you're a college hoops sharp, but Super Bowl coming up next week. What are you feeling right now?
Well, look, I was on the Chiefs on Sunday. I know, Hanks, you're a big Buffalo guy. Sorry. No offense, but I just didn't think it was their time yet. I mean, they'll get there. Josh is terrific, and they have a great team. But the issue is they just can't run the football. Josh Allen looked, I think, a little bit pedestrian at times. It's just so tough with the Chiefs. They can beat you so many different ways. And when I look at the Super Bowl, I know Tom Brady is the greatest ever, and I don't really want to bet against him, but I don't have the same feel with that as I used to 3 or 4 years ago. I think Patrick Mahomes is a new Tom Brady. I have no interest in betting against him. I think the defense of the Chiefs is really undervalued. Steve Spagnuolo has done a terrific job with a group that is really, guys, put together through just high-level trades and high-level drafting. You look at a kid like L'Jarius Sneed coming out of Louisiana Tech. I had him rated quite high, and he fell decently far to them, and they've actually grown him into a really good player. You also look at the Bucs. It's not ideal, guys, when you're possibly not going to have your two safeties, both starting safeties, and you look at the corners. Carlton Davis is a 2-year player in this league. Sean Murphy-Bunting is a 1-year player out of Central Michigan. I worry about that. I don't think their pass defense is as good as people think. I think they can kind of set up the run. I worry about the deep pass with guys like Winfield and Whitehead out. Over the top kind of stuff. I'd be laying it with the Chiefs here. It's very simple.
All right, he hosts the Big Man on Basketball podcast. You can find him on Twitter at Jeff Nadu. Jeff, thank you so much for the time. We really enjoyed it.
Always look forward to it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, you got it. There he goes, Jeff Nadu. That was awesome.
Dude.
Little insight into the college hoops universe, I would say.
That guy is so sharp.
Yeah.
Holy cow. That's our first time having him on a show. I had no idea what we were going to get out of him, and that was amazing. And
you probably felt pretty proud because you didn't just have the Bonnies love, but you're also, spoiler alert, going to have Missouri State.
Oh, yeah. Well, are we going to get to the cards here?
In a little bit.
Okay, because I'm ready, man. I'm juiced up.
In a little bit. But first, Brent, we must recap UFC 257. You came by to watch the fights alongside our good friend Ben Ludlow. What'd you think? That was kind of one of your first UFC viewing experiences.
The last time I watched a UFC fight was when McGregor, I believe, lost to Khabib in the brawl. Started outside the ring, and I thought, man, this is cool. Fast forward, came over to your place, watched the fights. I'm a huge fan. I loved it. Chandler caught my eye right away. He is, I don't know, man. That kid is a spark plug, all class, throws the flag up over. He calls out everyone in the world. It's his time. And then obviously, McGregor and Poirier, I was shocked.
Yeah.
All the money on McGregor, and Poirier
Yeah.
just came in and really whooped his ass.
The underdogs were howling. You see Dustin Poirier plus 230 dog. Chandler was a very slight underdog by the time that fight got underway. Marina Rodriguez, Brent, no surprise since I liked Amanda Ribas. Rodriguez was able to coast to that TKO win in round 2. And I'm with you. It should always concern you when everybody is betting on this one certain side. And that was concerning, but then you're still like, it's Conor McGregor. Like, it's Conor McGregor. He looked great. He talked a
Nick
decent game.
Schulman was right, though. When Nick Schulman came on the show, and he did, by the way, he was on McGregor.
Yeah, and
he told me if I wanted to win thousands to bet him.
And he was really on Dan Hooker. He might have been all in on Dan the Hangman Hooker.
He cost us everything, but I think he was right. McGregor needs to go back. He needs to get away from being a wholesome, great father, and he needs to go back to drugs and partying, Jeff.
Okay, yeah, that's just fantastic advice for Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
All right, every week we feature picks from not only you in the chat, feel free to send those in on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch, but also from our friends on the go. And I think, Brent, that our friend Maria Ho had a little something to say to us.
Yeah.
Take a look.
So, Jeff and Brent, I heard you guys were clowning on my pick a little bit, but who's laughing now? Don't underestimate the GOAT.
Well, Maria did say, never bet against playoff Brady.
Yeah, safe to say she's on Tom Brady to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm guessing
as well.
that's like foreshadowing. We'll get
hear
her
more.
official
Yeah.
Super Bowl pick next week. But yeah, I'm just guessing that Maria Ho is going to once again be backing Tom Brady. All right, next up, how about 15-time World Series of Poker bracelet winner Phil Hellmuth? What's Phil got to say?
Okay, NBA futures, baby. Let's see. I like the Los Angeles Lakers, but you're only getting 2-1. Oh my God. Horrible odds. A nice backup bet might be the Bucks at 5.8-1. I think they're gonna have a great chance. No gamble, no future, baby.
Okay, so he likes the Lakers, but doesn't like the odds, so he would take the Bucks, or is he going to take the Lakers and the Bucks?
I feel like he's going to bet both of those teams.
Okay.
And horrible odds, but I'm going to bet it anyway. Yeah, just all right.
It's hard to blame him for liking the Lakers. They do look like they are a cut above everybody else in the NBA, but as Phil said, you're just getting 2-1. All right, next up, one Daniel Negreanu. I'm guessing he'll be talking hockey.
All right, no gamble, no future. It is time for some NHL picks. We're going to start with a future, okay? To win it outright, right? There's a lot of big favorites. Of course, you got the Colorados, you got the Vegases, but they don't really pay enough weight. There is one team, however, at 22-1 that seems quite juicy and is quite deep, and that's the Philadelphia Flyers at 22-1. What I like about the Philadelphia Flyers is obviously Carter Hart's had some struggles so far this season, but this guy's a top-notch goalie if he puts it all together. Most importantly, Philly is deep. They have 3 really good lines at forward and a solid defense, possible Norris candidate this year in Provorov, right? So the Flyers, in a tough division, of course, some of those teams are not quite as good as they once were, like the Pittsburghs and Washingtons. So I like the Philadelphia Flyers. As for tomorrow night, on Tuesday, I'm going to give you guys like a safe pick, right? Typically, I'm an underdog bettor, but there's a favorite tomorrow on the board that just seems like money. The Dallas Stars are at home to the Detroit Red Wings. Dallas has played only 2 games because they started off the season with some COVID issues. They are back, and they are back in force with some big wins over Nashville. Right off the bat, looking like they're gelling pretty well. This is a very good defensive team, which is why we are also going to play the under. Detroit Red Wings, one of the worst teams in the league. They've also got some COVID issues with Philip Zadina and John Merrill on the sidelines due to protocol. But one thing about the Red Wings is they've got better goaltending this year, so they've done a better job of grinding it out and keeping the puck out of the net. So I like Dallas, I like the under, and of course the Philadelphia Flyers to win it all.
Okay, we're looking for an NHL futures to fire.
It's everything I ever needed to hear. Now I'm all of a sudden a big hockey bettor. And by the way, Daniel Negreanu, no one's hotter than him right now. He's on a $500,000 heater.
That's true.
Over in the high-stakes feud matchup against Doug Polk. So whatever he says is going to turn to gold right now. I'm betting everything he just said.
So fire the Stars tonight, about minus 220, and fire the under in that Stars Red Wings game under 5.5 at minus 145. That certainly sounds good to us. Just checking out some of the picks from the chat. Jay Stizzle on YouTube. Brent likes the Longhorns at home tonight in a big game against OU, laying the points about 4 or 5. Daniel Ruth chimes in with the Super Bowl pick already. Says Tampa Bay wins. You do not bet against Tom Brady. Jess coming in hot with some college hoops plays. Jess has Central Michigan plus the 13. Jess has UNLV plus 6.
Oh.
And Jess has Duke minus 5.5. Trying to get the Blue Bloods back on track.
Yeah,
Nadu
Duke.
mentioned Duke has struggled. Kansas has struggled. It's a very interesting college basketball season, I would say.
I love Jeff Nadu's point about the Blue Bloods all just sucking this year, and he is spot on. By the way, another guy from our chat, Charles Bradbury wants Georgia Tech under 140.5. Shout out Georgia. And also he wants Georgia Tech money line.
Okay.
There you go. That's Charles
Georgia Tech. Glenn says Florida Columbus take the under 5.5. Let's see. Tim Duckworth over in the Facebook chat. I like this. Colin Sexton for the most improved player in the NBA. You remember Colin Sexton out of Alabama. Had an okay rookie season this year. And an okay second season this year. He looks really,
Can you
really,
bet on that? Most
really
improved player in the
At
NBA?
some books you can.
You can bet that?
At some books you can, and you would get 25-1 if you fired off on Colin Sexton. I'm gonna say Ben Ludlow's UFC picks for next week. Does have some golf futures for us. Taking Xander at 12-1, English at 22-1, Brooksy Koepka at plus 36.50, and Siwoo Kim at 45-1. And that leads us perfectly into our cards. We call it Lock It Up.
Oh, baby.
Lock it up, because these are some stone cold locks. Brent, I will start so we really just get this out of the way. I mean, I went 1-7.
You can't
last
do
week.
any worse.
Yeah,
-7 is
minus
abysmal.
7
Okay,
units,
folks, everything
but
Jeff says, go the opposite way.
Yeah, probably
go the
should.
opposite
Yeah,
way.
you
He
should-
can't win.
You should probably
go that
fade.
way. Yeah.
But with that said, I do really like Tennessee minus 9.5 tonight against Mississippi State. I think it's the perfect time to buy low on Tennessee. They're coming off losses to Florida and Missouri. And Brent, I really like this. So 62% of the bets on Mississippi State, but just 19% of the money is on Mississippi State. So the big guys are on Tennessee, and I'm going to try to follow that sharp money. Give me Tennessee minus the 9.5. Next up for me, I'm going to go opposite side of what Jay Stizzle had to say in our YouTube chat. Give me OU plus the 4 against Texas. Oklahoma has some real momentum. Oklahoma has 3 straight wins. I think Texas is a little overrated. They've had a couple lucky wins. Shaka Smart is out this evening. Missouri versus Auburn. I'm taking Auburn minus 1.5. Mizzou is a top 15 team. 3 straight wins for Mizzou. Auburn is 9-7. But Auburn is favored? That looks a little weird. That looks a little fishy. So give me that weird side. I'm going to take Auburn. Knicks, Jazz, some NBA action tonight. The Knicks are coming down to earth. The Jazz are hitting its stride. 8 wins in a row. Donovan Mitchell has been spectacular over these last couple weeks. So I'm taking the Jazz, but with the qualifier that I'm just always wrong on the Jazz. I think I've had 5 or 6 Jazz plays throughout the course of the year, and I'm definitely 0-5 or 0-6. All right, Farmers Insurance Open. Here's what we're going to do here on No Gamble, No Future. We're going to rally behind Jordan Spieth.
Terrible pick.
He's in a year-long, maybe a 2-year-long slump, but he's going to snap out of it eventually. I don't know if it's going to be this week, but on this very show,
once it's the Masters,
we're going to fire it every single week. And this week, we're getting Spieth at 85-1 to win the Farmers Insurance Open. All right, a couple more for you. Joel Embiid to win the MVP. Joel is 8-1. He's averaging about 28 and 11 in just 32 minutes a game. And the 76ers are really good also. They're 12-6. You look at the other MVP contenders, you see Luka, and unfortunately I have to admit that the Mavs are struggling. Now, they've had some COVID issues. They'll be back. They'll be fine. LeBron, a really good start to the season. He's currently the favorite to win MVP. But I think we're getting to that stage for the Lakers where they kind of coast in the regular season and perhaps takes the regular season off. I don't think he'll win another one. Kevin Durant, there's just not enough basketball in Brooklyn. I think his stats will take a hit. Give me Joel Embiid to win the MVP at 8-1. And finally, Brent, the Stars to win the Stanley Cup because I'm from Dallas, and yeah, go Stars. And
very solid.
Yeah,
very solid.
Yeah.
Jordan Spieth cannot win a golf tournament.
Yes, he can.
I
yeah,
don't
Jordan
think he
Spieth
can win
bounces
anymore.
back. It starts this week, and we get him at 85-1. We get one of the best golfers in the world at 85-1.
He's not one of the best.
Well,
he's no longer.
At one point he was, and then usually in golf you don't fall off. You just keep that standing.
Fine.
As far as the top.
Let's
5
go to
out.
my card.
All right,
Bring it
let's do
up. Let me show you some winners.
Fire it up.
4-3 last week. I'm not even going to count the parlay that lost. So technically, I went 4-2. I'm not
4-3.
giving you a parlay. This is just going to be math at work here, Jeff, and logic. Okay. Richmond minus 12. Ignore what you see right there on that.
Oh, you're going oppo of your own card.
This is ass backwards. It's ass backwards. I want Richmond minus 12. Ignore the plus 12 for St. Joseph's. Absolutely not. Richmond is gonna roll. They just got beat at home by LaSalle. I expect a very senior-led team. Blake Francis, Jacob Gilliard, they're going to get it together, and they are going to destroy St. Joseph's on the road. Again, that's a typo. It's Richmond minus 12. Second, Dayton. Again, Dayton. They're going to lose big to St. Louis. St. Louis minus 9 at home. St. Louis, this is their first game back in quite some time. I really do. You heard Jeff do on the show earlier. I really do expect St. Louis to be prepared, to be ready. They haven't played basketball since December 23rd. How good is St. Louis? Last week, they were ranked 25th in the country. This week, they're actually ranked 22nd in the nation. Now, how does a team go up? I have no idea. I just think that they're that stinking good. Move on down to Drake versus Missouri State.
I do like that one.
Love this one. Missouri State money line. Drake is 13-0, and they are walking into this massive collision in the Missouri Valley Conference. The Missouri State Bears, plus 145, led by Isaiah Mosley. That's my guy. Almost 25 points a game. High-scoring team, by the way. Missouri State, they're going to put on a show. They're going to knock Drake right out of the works. Drake not ranked in the top 25.
Right.
They won't be ranked, ever.
Okay.
They can't get ranked this year because they're going to lose tonight. Hockey.
You're a big hockey guy.
I know nothing about hockey, but I'm
guy.
from Las Vegas. I live here right now. Golden Knights minus 145. Let's put the puck in the net. Let's put the puck in the net.
Good.
They're going to win.
Yeah.
They're going to win.
Very sound hockey advice. From
Very
both
sound
of us.
hockey. Now, Matthew Wolff. Let's take a look at this
Ooh,
golf
the
tournament
Wolf.
that Jeff thinks that Jordan Spieth is going to win.
Yeah,
He can't
Spieth
win.
has got it, yeah.
Spieth can't win. Matthew Wolff, he's on the cover of the current edition of Golf Magazine. How do I know? Because my wife propped it up in the dining room in this little holder, and he looks like Ryan Gosling, and it's just sitting there. So when I come down and I have breakfast and coffee, I stare directly at Matthew Wolff. Matthew Wolff is 35-1. He's got the coolest swing in all of golf. He's got this little shimmy. He looks good. He's feeling fresh. He's going to take it home in the Farmers Insurance Open. I mean, come on, 35-1?
Liz, your wife Liz is a big Matthew
Great
Wolff
odds.
fan.
Yeah, she loves the Wolf.
Yeah,
Howard with the
big
Wolf.
fan.
Lastly, bet Michigan while you can, folks.
Ooh, okay.
They're 11-1 to win the title. I really think that they are the best team in the Big Ten. A real sleeper is Illinois that's down there. I'm keeping an eye on Illinois. I told you, Jeff, earlier in the season I loved Illinois.
did.
Michigan right now, 11-1. I do not expect to get better odds than that. If you can find it right now, amazing. Lock it in. Lock it in. Michigan is a top 3 team. They're just as good as Baylor, and they're good enough to knock off Gonzaga. I love this team inside and out. Isaiah Livers. I have a liver disorder. Isaiah Livers for Michigan is going to deliver. They're a tremendous team. Let's go, Michigan.
Okay,
That's
it is. There is the card for Brent. Now, we all know, you know this, I know this, Aiden, Drew, John in the back, you guys know that when St. Joseph's covers the 12 against Richmond, Brent is going to point to his card and say, see, I got it. But
Nope.
if Richmond covers, he'll be like, yep, I told you it was Richmond.
No.
I
no.
think that's, yeah, I think
Not
that's-
going to do that.
I think that's likely to happen. All right, we close things out, as we always do, with Never a Doubt. And you wanted to start with one Tom Brady.
Okay, so here's the deal.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Let me pull up my notes here about Tom
Yeah, pull 'em
Brady.
up.
This is a little ridiculous. I got to scroll down. Tom Brady is back in the goddamn Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Again. This is his 10th appearance. Only a few other quarterbacks have 5 total
That's absurd.
appearances. John Elway has 5. Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana, Roger Staubach, and I believe Peyton Manning has 5. That's it. Brady now has 10 appearances. By the way, Jim Kelly has 4. Let's go Buffalo.
How many
Jim Kelly has
wins?
He's still working on it.
Okay.
He still has 4. Normally, I would be sick to my stomach about talking about Tom Brady right now, but it's, I don't know, it brings this sense of normalcy to the world. 2020, 2021 has been crazy. Yeah. Brady's back in the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden things feel normal. And he didn't beat the Bills along the way. So I'm very happy about that. And that's never a doubt, man. Brady's just in the Super Bowl.
Speaking of never a doubt, one of our viewers/listeners, Jason Harvey, he's hit us up on Twitter over these last couple of weeks. By the way, he's at Buffalo Hanks, and I'm at Jeff Platt, and you can follow all of us at PokerGo. So he had a 2-leg parlay. Leg number 1, the Miami Heat to win the Eastern Conference, and this was last season. This was that bubble season. Boom, spiked that one. Leg number 2, a Super Bowl matchup play, Tampa Bay versus Kansas City, which we know is the Super Bowl. That was $25 wagered to win $47,750. Let me give that to you one more time. That was $25 wagered to win more than $47,000. They offered him a couple of cash out options along the way before conference championships. They did not. He said, I'm going to do a small little hedge with the Packers and with the Bills, but he nailed it, and he won all the money. Never a doubt.
That is an absolutely amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing that. $25 living the dream turns it into 47 grand. Never a doubt.
Maybe it's a 2-leg parlay for us. Jordan Spieth wins the Farmers Insurance Open, and something about and the St. Bonnie's win the title.
Okay, well, that'll pay more than $47,000.
Yeah, right. Then we'll be in good shape. We'll work on that. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We very much appreciate it. Make sure to click like. Make sure to click subscribe. All that good stuff, right? It's
you
easy.
have to do it now.
And
like it, subscribe it.
Yeah.
You have to do it right now.
Right now.
Now.
Right now. Yes. And Brent.
Yeah.
You can get 10% off a PokerGo subscription. You can get 10% off at the PokerGo store. The promo code, it's Gamble.
Gamble.
That's
10%
easy to
off.
remember.
Look, we got all sorts of hats and stuff.
Cards
10%
and
off whatever you want. Annual
glasses
subscription, hats, these awesome
and
jackets, hoodies, whatever else we got laying around. 10% off. Gamble right now.
The promo code is Gamble. And that will do it for us. That will wrap up episode 2 of No Gamble, No Future. Next week, come prepared.
Super Bowl.
It's going to be a blowout episode. We're talking the game line. We're talking props. We're talking a little bit of everything. And I cannot wait for it. We're going to have stacks of all the prop bets.
Stacks of cash.
We probably won't have stacks of cash.
Yep.
No. Probably not going to have stacks of cash. We're still in Bustoville. All right, that'll do it for us. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next week on No Gamble, No Future.